Thank you so much for staying with NBC. Now, on June 15th, the 2024, the Basic Income Grant Coalition of Namibia will be organizing a march to advocate for the establishment of a universal and unconditional basic income grant. The grant will be set at 500 Namibian dollars per person each month, and this initiative aims to address the critical issues of widespread poverty, soaring unemployment, and stark inequality that hinder the socio-economic advancement of Namibia. Joining us in studio is Shipura, a champion of the Basic Income Grant Coalition. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. A pleasure.
Absolutely. Yes. Talk to us about how the Basic Income Grant Coalition in Namibia, proposed to address the issue of 1.5 million Namibians facing starvation through, the implementation of the universal basic income grant.
So initially, the reason why individuals face starvation is the lack of resources, right, mainly financial resources. Mm-hmm. This is now to sort of meet, their basic nutritious meals. So that's why individuals are facing now these issues. So with regards to the basic income grant, a $500 per person per household will at least equip these individuals with the finances to be able to afford the goods and services, or specifically the food that they need in order for them to sort of survive daily. Because as a human being who has dignity, or who's supposed to have dignity legally by law, scratching in dustbins, and the dump sites is not, it doesn't sort of show well, towards an individual's dignity. So with the grant, it's an enabler. It will enable individuals to be able to afford, the food that they need.
Very well. And what can you expand a bit more on what really makes you sure that 500 Namibian dollars is enough to, of course, cater for people that are suffering from poverty and unemployment?
So initially, looking at now the basic setting of a Namibian household, we see that an average household has close to 7 family members. So I believe that at least $500 per person within that household will, be, just the starting point. It won't be, the solution towards every problem within their lives. It's just a starting point, just to equip these individuals, as I said before, with, the financial, opportunity to be able to afford their basic goods. So, according to our calculations, obviously $500, to be, radical enough. Mm-hmm. It's not, what an individual deserves, but in terms of the affordability of government and all of those other aspects, we see that $500 million at least would be the basic or the minimum, amount.
Very well. Now, in light of the 19-year advocacy of the BIG coalition, what measures have been taken by Namibian government, to address the coalition concerns about poverty and inequality?
So, according to our goals, or our objectives as a coalition, is to solve the issues of poverty and equal distribution of wealth and income within our country, yeah, and as well as unemployment. There have been various initiatives from government side, things like turning the food bank into a cash grant, which is $600 million for those who have been receiving the food bank now receive cash. So I think they've seen that food isn't the only solution towards solving poverty. Mm-hmm. Giving the person finances, or the economic tool to be able to practice their, to say the economic right within the economy is best. And also with regards to unemployment, government has tried initiatives with regards to things like the defense ministry expanding themselves with regards to employing young people within the defense industry in our country. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about the criteria. If this whole idea is to flourish, what's the criteria going to be like for? How will they know that this specific person is actually employed or not employed, for them to have access to this $500 Namibian of basic income grant if it happens to come to life?
So the criteria is the grant is unconditional. It's universal, meaning that it does you don't have to meet specific requirements to get the grant. So for as long as you're a Namibian citizen with a Namibian ID, or you can prove that you're a Namibian citizen, you would be able to receive this grant. So initially, what is currently happening in Namibia is the fact that we have conditional grants, which the child grant, the pension fund, and everything. With recent updates, knowing that government is increasing these funds, we see that yes, it is necessary, but do these grants cover a vast majority of individuals? Does it cover because it criticizes you need specific requirements, you need to meet specific criteria. And while we're doing our activations for the protest march that we have on the 15th, individuals were complaining that okay, as much as yes, I do qualify for this grant, when I go to seek assistance with regards to how to apply for these grants, I'm shut out. So we see that there are various issues with regards to the administrative process and things like that. So it's best to not put a criteria for something that an individual needs at the end of the day. Yeah, that's why.
But there are so many atrocities happening in the economy. You have your repo rate that's always on the rise, and so many things that are affecting finances nowadays. Do you think that there's possibly going to be a need for this amount to be increased at a later stage? Because there's so many complaints that salaries are not increasing, but the repo rate and all other rates are increasing. So do you think there's going to be a need for this to be increased? Will this still be $500 million still be enough in the future?
So as time goes, we see that these grants will need to be increased because things like inflation and as you say the repo rate. So the 500 is just a starting point, is a stepping stone. It's for the initiative itself. So obviously as time goes, as our policies get developed and things like that, implementation and all of that, we see that this grant should be increased in the long run.
Let's talk about 75% of Namibians earning over about 1,500 and below per month. How does the basic income grant, of $500 Namibian affect the overall standard of living and purchasing power of the average Namibian?
So if you look at an individual's income, individuals have what you call disposable income. Okay. So an individual owning 1.5 Namibian dollars,
earning
that amount would not have a disposable income. Okay. Because with regards to our research, we see that the basic basket of food and necessities that an individual needs is worth 1,800 Namibian dollars, meaning that 1,500 will not allow an individual to have disposable income, which is the income that you spend on other after your deductions and all of that. So we see that at least this $500 would, if it means that the head of the house is earning 1.5, at least if the rest of the other individuals are getting $500 million, it would result into them having larger chunks of disposable income, meaning that they can afford their necessities as well.
Interesting.
Yes.
What are the long-term sustainability plans for the basic income grant program in Namibia, especially in terms of funding, continuous support from both national and international stakeholders? What are the plans for the future?
So in terms of sustainability, currently with regards to funding for the project of the campaign itself, we have members of the coalition, because it's not an organization, it's a coalition, which means that it's a group of organizations that came together and formed the campaign. So in terms of sustainability, we see that we receive contributions and funds from our member organizations, which they on their own as well receive funds from international entities, and we do work in partnership with various other civil society organizations as well. So in terms of sustainability, we do have a vast a large support on that regard. Yes.
Very well. And then for those who want to partake in the march, of course, that's happening on the 15th of June, perhaps provide details in that regard and where, and of course, we are aware that there are going to be transport also going to be offered for those who well want to be part of this, and perhaps also the pickup points. Could you just share some of those information, please?
Yes. With regards to the pickup points, pickup will start at 8 a.m. in the morning. Pickup will start now from the various bus stops, and they'll be dropped off at the Kaldura Youth Complex. So the first pickup point will be the Ombili four-way bus stop, as well as the Havana bus stop, the Okahanja four-way bus stop, the Korenhap Vurman bus stop, and lastly the Chumise Clinic bus stop, which they now call now the Tamara bus stop. So with pickup from now the Zoo Park, Independence Avenue, it will be at 1. And then individuals will now be dropped off now at the bus stop that I mentioned earlier, which is now the Ombili bus stop, the Havana bus stop, Kahanja four-way bus stop, as well as the Korenhap, the Korenhap Woolman Brock bus stop. So lastly now with the Tamara bus stop in Ochomise.
All right.
Yes.
Well, very well. Thank you so much for making the time to talk to us, and all the best for the march.
Thank you.
That was Shipura, the champion of the Basic Income Grant Coalition, that of course is setting to have a march on June the 15th, 2024, for of course Namibia to be organizing a march to advocate for the establishment of a universal and unconditional basic income grant. Continue with more interviews right here on the Daily Roundup. Don't go away.